Okay, I have an idea. Before I pursue that idea, I'm going to review where I am. So, UA has two routes, an upper route and a lower route. The mechanics of her route finding act a lot like Yuka from Never 7. So if you're familiar with the flowchart of Yuka, the flowchart of Never 7, I don't remember exactly the details, but it's something like if you have over a certain threshold of Yuka points, then you end up in Yuka's route at a certain point where it decides, which is about at the barbecue, I believe. And then if you don't have enough Yuka points, it goes, okay, do you have enough, whatever the next girl down is, which I'm guessing is Haruka. But I don't remember exactly the order. Do you have enough of her points? It might actually have been Izuru, not Izuru, wrong game. Izumi. If you don't remember, Izuru, I think is like Danganronpa character. Anyway, Izumi might be the second one in the Izumi Kirei differentiation, where it doesn't know if you're going to do Kirei or not, depending on whether or not you go look at that file full of research in the cabin. But you step down a tree of potential routes depending on your points. So if not Yuka, then whatever the next girl is, do you have enough points for her? And have you done a certain amount of necessary sort of sudden death requirements along the way? Because sometimes it's not necessarily a number of points, it's you have to do a number of points and you have to have done this scene, right? If you didn't meet the requirements for that girl, then there's the next girl down, this priority list, right? Then, if none of them, it goes back to Yuka again. So Yuka ends up being a default. Now, in Never 7, the Yuka route that you go into is exactly the same, whether you got into it because you got enough Yuka points or because you didn't get enough points for anybody. With the small exception of typically if you got into it because you have enough Yuka points, you would have done a scene where you go watch the cherry blossoms with Yuka earlier the day of the barbecue. Well, I don't know if it's the day of the barbecue or the day after the barbecue. I actually don't know how. I forgot how maybe it's day 5 or something. Barbecue's day 4. Something like that. But there's a day. That could happen earlier in said day. Or if you end up in Yuka's route by the defaulting, or whatever means, and you haven't done that scene, you do that scene later on in the day. And there's actually 2 different variations of the CG, depending on the lighting of the scene, depending on the time of day. It isn't necessarily, I don't know if it's rock solid the case that you get the scene early in the day if you're getting into Yuka's route by threshold, and later if you're getting into it by default. It's just, you would tend to be that way because you would get Yuka points for doing it earlier in the day. Anyway, UA is similar to that. It seems, I haven't seen the flowchart for Memories Off, so I don't know for certain, but just from observing, from just playing the game, it seems like she's similar to that, where you can get into a route by, she's for the first, in line, right? But if you don't reach her threshold, you fall down the other thresholds, and you don't make it to any of the other ones, you go back to her. Except the difference is that the routes are slightly different depending on if you got into her by merit or by default. But only slightly different. So if you do both of the routes, it's like you're almost reading the same route twice. Now, the slight differences wind you up with different CG sets. So this one, and this one come from the route, I call it the merit route, or the high route. And this one and this one come from the low route. So that's what's going on with UA. Now, I have done both the high route and the low route, and I've also appear to have gotten into, which means just seeing at least one line of text from, all of the scenes, or the titles for all the scenes, in that block of scenes, that certain grouping of scenes in the scenes list that seems to be dedicated to UA scenes, from which, and that would be from both the high route and the low route. But despite getting both endings and all of the scenes, I still have this CG missing, which I am guessing comes from scene 23, if I were to make a wild guess, because that's a scene in the trunk that I don't have. And I'm guessing that the contents of that CG are UA on the roof, leaning her back against the door to the roof, because this painting appears in all 3 introductory cutscenes that are included in this game's album. And the reason why I say all 3 is the first one, I think the original, does have some paintings in it that are made just for the opener and are not actually in the game. But because it appears in other openers as well, it seems to be that it is actually a true CG. Now, it seemed difficult to me to figure out a way to meet UA on the roof, because I think every single one of the scenes, that there's one exception. There's one with Shion. You can find Shion on the roof. Shion is where you think she is for some reason. They do a little of a Never 7 thing with the... I think that's maybe what inspired the whole Never 7 plot. I wonder if that entire plot, the whole idea of the whole predicting the future thing, was inspired by the Shion's handkerchief scene. Like, Uchikoshi wrote the Shion's handkerchief scene and decided to make a whole game based on that. But anyway, you get one of those and you encounter Shion on the roof. But with that exception, the scenes on the roof are scenes associated with Kauru. So that's weird. And I done all the scenes in UA's endings. So it's the trunk with UA on the roof. That's weird. I don't know how to find that. And what's really, like with some games, like Remember 11, none of these games that I actually have trouble getting any of the endings without looking up a flowchart. And I think Ever 17 is the one where I got all of it without looking up a flowchart. However, stuff like bonus content and 100% completing it, I have had to do that because I haven't figured out how to get like every single little thing. But I don't know if anybody's written a flowchart for Memories Off. I mean, I have a lot of E's and M's in the titles. Have mercy on me. I could mix them up. Memories Off, particularly because a fan translation has ever been made of it, and the people that make the fan translations tend to be the same people that make the flowcharts. And it might be hard for me to search because I have to search in Japanese, because if someone did make it, they would have made it in a website where all the text would be in Japanese. Right? So it'd be hard to look up a flowchart for Memories Off. So this might really frustrate me and stick me up, this CG I'm missing here. I'm also missing 3 CGs later on for UA. Now that doesn't seem so concerning because probably these are in the after story, although the after story probably doesn't contain any CGs. Or Pure, which is the prequel. It came later, but is actually included in this package, which is nice of Mages, thank you. The one odd thing about it is, if I go back up to Ayaka's CGs, there is one, but I believe is from Pure, listed first in the CG list, instead of later, which is odd. Also, the ordering of the CGs associated with the Ayaka is also very odd. I'm not really worried about it yet. Okay, Shion, I appear to have finished everything associated with Shion. That is all of the CGs and their variations, as well as her ending and all of the scenes that you can get in the way of, on the way to her ending, of which there is a lot. Now, her ending does seem, when you read it, to be somewhat longer than the other endings. However, the amount of scenes, the scenes list is even longer still, so perhaps her scenes are shorter. Also, seemingly one of the most developed endings in the game. It's the ending where the author actually took his or her time and actually bothered to finish writing it the most, as I said. But I still don't have scenes 58 and 71. So, theoretically, those could contain something having to do with Shion still. Also, Shion's route seems to be one of the most challenging to get into. It seems to be hard to find. And at the moment, I don't actually remember the key to getting into it. What I was, like, what's typically you would mess up when trying. So, yeah, it's... This scene here with the juice is the one that's hard to trigger, and I forget how you trigger it. Anyway. But however hard it was, I managed to pull it off. Also, the language in the game made her seem like she was the best looking girl. Oddly. I mean, they built up all three girls like that. Yue, in the sense that it's I think it's in Shion's route. Well, no, it's actually in the trunk, but you have to make certain decisions where you have a conversation about Kauru and Yue with Shion, where you learn that people ask Yue, boys are asking Yue out all the time. And she rejects them all. Not because they're bad, it's just because she's waiting on Tomoya, right? She's like holding out for Tomoya. And so that's why she's such a rejection machine. But the idea was to try to say, oh, Yue is very good looking because all the boys are going after her. That being said, I'm not exactly sure. I've never been a good looking girl, so I don't really know how this works, but I would presume that the rate in which you get asked out by boys is relatively independent about how good you look. Michael, what? It's just you get different demographics depending on your appearance. What kind of boys tend to go after you? Like, if you're really good looking, you get a lot of the more bold, just do it, what could go wrong kind of boys that just I don't know, they have less shame, right? They're not someone like me who gets like nervous about how the my social circle or whatever how we would take it and what the consequences could be, right? Or you just get like kind of disinhibited. You get less inhibited boys if you're good looking, right? If you're worse looking, you get boys that have like lower confidence, lower self-esteem, or are more inhibited. I'm not sure if it's necessarily quantity, but whatever. That's just me talking out of my butt based on conjecture. I don't have any data to back any of this up. Anyway, and then both Kaoru and Shion, when they show up on the scene, the boys are like, jaws are dropping, right? However, although they both are described that way, Shion is described that way even more aggressively. Like they were just like the snot was just dripping in pools on their desks when Shion showed up. So the suggestion is like Shion is the most good-looking girl, followed by Kaoru, followed by Yue. And these two, they don't comment on that. Well, Minamo was supposed to be really cute, which is a different thing. They don't really comment on that. They just kind of treat the other two girls on the lower row with more respect, the way they're written. Okay. Kaoru, like Shion, but a long time ago, all of her CGs and all of the scenes associated. This CG at the movie theater with her street clothes is a bit tricky, but I got it. So, because you have to go for a bad ending, but it's a dead end CG, so you could get her ending with that CG still missing. But she does. But you have a hint that you'd still also be missing a scene because its own independent scene. That would help you find it. So all the CGs and all the scenes associated with Kauru, like both Shion and Kauru, it seems like I don't have to mess with them anymore. I can check them off the list. They are done. Unless for some reason I need to get every single line of possible text, and then like remember 11, and then that would just be nightmarish. And the game with this structure. Now, Minamo is the girl I have the idea about. And I'll come back to her and talk about the idea I have. And then Koyomi, similarly to Kauru and Shion, I have all of her CGs and all the scenes associated with her route and ending. And again, her route seemed like it was kind of hastily written and the least developed. If I want to like rank the authors of this game against each other. Kauru is kind of in the middle. And UA is kind of low quality. And Minamo, it's my favorite. But it's a bit... The problem with Minamo's route is it's a bit out of character. Right? And then we have these bonus things, which... What makes me somewhat nervous is I'm missing a lot of them. Which may mean there's some that just don't trigger unless you get every single possible, route and every single possible dialogue or something. You might have to 100% the game to get all of these, and that's unnerving. So what was my idea? Well, sometimes the OCR would mistranslate, the OCR doesn't do the translation, but you know what I mean. If I be technical about it. The OCR would capture, and then the machine translator would translate lines with Minamo's name in them incorrectly. And when it would do that, it would tend to replace Minamo's name with everybody. And that suddenly gave me an idea a few days ago. I thought, well, wait a second. What is Japanese for everybody? And I don't know exactly, but what Google Translate says is it's min-na. Me-na. So it's not exactly me-na, it's min-na. Slightly different, like so if in English you have a double N. Although I think most native English speakers like me ignore the double letters. But it's close. So Minamo is kind of close to saying everyone also. And then that made me think, well, okay, what was the first time I managed to get into Minamo's route? Well, that was when I was that was based off a trunk of me trying to get into Kauru's route. But when I first played this, started playing this game from the very beginning, I was kind of not really... I was trying to pick, positive choices for all of the characters. So I was hanging out with Koyomi after school. I had a hard time with Shion for some reason, because I didn't eat lunch in the schoolyard. But I was going, to look at the skeleton in the biolab with UA. I was doing Kauru stuff because, well, I was pursuing Kauru. And I was doing, I was just really spreading it, right? If you remember my first run through, I was trying to get as many scenes as possible at once. And I was grabbing, right? So when I decided to do a little bit different variation where I decided to reject Kauru's offer to study with her, looking for Koyomi's route, ironically, I broke that. But because I had all this, broad everybody-ness, that opened up for me the ability to go after Minamo. Now, I did UA first. UA's low route first. But, so, that got me thinking, well, when I tried to get into Minamo's route last recording, after I finished Shion's ending, I was trying to, isolate Minamo. I was trying to do all positive Minamo stuff, and then when that was not working, I started, trying to try harder by rejecting other people. To try to get just Minamo by herself. And that might work well with getting the high UA route. Every character is different after all. It might be useful for getting the Koyomi route. It seemed like how to do it. Like I had to just suppress everybody else besides Koyomi. Minamo might be the opposite, based on her name, where you're trying to do everybody, right? Now, this is very, very worrying to me. It might prove a big difficulty because I'm not just trying to get into Minamo's route again, merely. What I'm trying to do is get into Minamo's route and a higher version of her route. You see, although I managed to get the seemingly one and only ending that's named for Minamo, I'm missing a whole lot of scenes in the block of scenes that in the scenes list seems to be dedicated to her ending route. And I'm missing a whole lot of CGs for her as well. This suggests that somewhat similar to UA, there is a low Minamo route and a high Minamo route. And which one you get may be based on how well you manage to pull off the everybody thing. So this may be really, and this is really tricky because going for everybody could very easily accidentally put myself into somebody else's route. Right, so, but that's my idea, and that's what I'm going to try to do. Now, another thought I had is, maybe like, this scene is a scene where, we have Minamo hanging out with Yue. So maybe with this other everybody trope, maybe these other CGs are maybe like Minamo hanging out with Shion, and Minamo hanging out with Kauru, and Minamo hanging out with Koyomi, and Minamo hanging out with a round of girls. But from the intro cutscenes, we actually can see what seems to be some of the missing CGs for Minamo. Actually, only two of them. One of them appears to be you handing her something. Which, when I first looked at it, made me go, maybe you're handing her that art book that she wanted from the art store but didn't have enough money to buy. You saved up the money, got the money somehow, we don't know how, bought it for her. It kind of resolves this whole thing, right? However, I think looking at that cutscene again, it looks like it's actually a bag of something. It's like a bag of chips or something. So anyway, you're giving her like a bag of chips or something. And the other one seems to be for her to sit in the commercial district, as the English people would call it, not the shopping district. In the commercial district, sitting in her street clothes, sitting in a chair in the middle of like the street, basically drawing. So those don't have any other those scenes don't even have any other characters in them besides her in the foreground. Of course, the one where you're handing her something seems to be there's someone handing her something, but it's like from their point of view, so you don't see that person. We might be able to tell by the sleeve color, but I haven't remembered what the sleeve color is. So that may not exactly be the case. At least two of those are just Minamo by herself. Maybe two of them might be Minamo with other characters. Not sure. We also have this one here, which we may get after we do a high route. So I think there's a Minamo high route. It may not be a different ending name, unlike Yue's, where it's a different ending name, but there's something like that going on here. So now I'm going to try to start over from the very beginning all over again because I got this whole concept wrong. And try to do this everybody thing. And it's going to be tricky, and I'm going to see if I can pull it off. And it may be wrong, too. I don't know. I don't know if this is the way to do it. This is a guess. It's just a guess. This is how you pull this off. So we're going to skip. Put down some notes. Right, remove save files all over again. Skip through the muted intro. No, we're going to actually want to watch the intro just because I've been talking about it. So, see, that's one of the CGs I was talking about. In the middle of the shopping district drawing. Yes, there's music that goes on along with this. I just had the music off. And this Switch remake, music off turns all the music off. Unlike the... Because you can't really turn the music on and off in this game. You just change the music volume. Unlike the PC versions, which I've... there's that UA wanted to talk about with her on the roof. This one, I believe, is not in the game on the title card. Just like this one's not in the game on the title card. The title card ones are often not in the game. This is a weird one because you see this in the CG, but then there's like a version of this with like Kauru being one of the characters in the bonus list. It's kind of funky. It's probably from Pure. No, it can't be from Pure because this is. I don't know which intro this is. It's not the Mages one. It appears to be the perhaps the original. Again, that can't be in the game because it's Minamo with cherry blossoms, but she dies first. Alchemist CGs are the most mysterious, actually. Okay. So I do actually have the OCR open. Yeah. It takes a long time to initialize the program and stuff, so I tend to have it ready before I start recording. But I need to get it's a lot of windows, unfortunately. And having two monitors helps, but unfortunately in this case I don't have two monitors because I'm using one for the Switch. I could just not, just have the OBS have the Switch and not have it on my own separate display, but I like having it on my own separate display anyway. I wonder if there's any good people in charge. I don't remember this choice. This is weird. Even though it's the first choice in the game, I should remember it. Oh, caretaker. Okay, so this is where you go either library or I take care of the sea turtles. But it railroads you into taking care of the sea turtles, so it doesn't really matter which one you pick. It's just an immaterial choice. It doesn't really matter. Same with this one. It's going to railroad you into the same thing regardless of which choice you make. So I'm either saving at them or doing anything like that. Okay. So I'm going to be really obnoxious and say that basically like every choice that matters. Which is bizarre, but okay. So I believe this is go up and talk to Kauru or don't, right? I'll pass. So talk to Kauru. This is one of the tricky things about this game and the hints, because the hint effects tells you that this will negatively affect my UA points. Maybe. But here's the issue. The hint only tells you how it affects one of the characters that I can interact with, right? Not both. So I might get positive Kauru points, but it doesn't show that because it only shows how it affects one character. So I think I'm actually going to go and talk to Kauru to get the positive Kauru interaction in my first trial at this, risking the whole UA thing. But I might miss, because it's not exactly super clear what the right thing to do is here. And that's why I put a save. Now, because I'm doing this, probably doesn't matter, so I'm not going to. I don't care. Do the thing that Kauru likes because I'm trying to do everybody, right? So everything, if it's something they like, just do it. That's clear at all. I don't need to make a save there. Everything's fine. And I try to balance things out. I'm going to try to do so. How much I like Kauru. I'm going to say I chose eh. The reason why is because I'm trying to balance out the stuff, right? So if I said, yeah, go up to talk to Kauru, previously, I want to like maybe compensate for that to get nice and even by saying, I kind of like her. Okay, we want to be everybody, so it's pretty clear, right? We want to be positive UA, right? So do what UA likes here. It's always the good choice, right? This doesn't matter. So we can choose, we think UA through the eraser, or we could think Sheen through the eraser. Now, I don't see how thinking Sheen could be really bad for anybody, right? So I'm going to pick this because it just seems like obviously the right answer. I want to be nice to everybody. Now here we want to be nice to Koyomi, right? Obviously, be polite. We don't know if she's here yet, but we want to be nice to her. Now, so this is a tricky one. So, give up and go home. We'll go back to the classroom. Just return, right? Kauru. Or go shopping. Now, going shopping, I don't think really helps with anything. You just go outside. It doesn't. I don't believe it does anything good, if I remember correctly. So I think going back to the classroom to interact with Kauru is probably the best option here. Confident enough that I don't think I need to save. Or should I? I'm going to actually save. No, I got to be thorough. I got to do this right. I'm not going to make a note yet. I'm going to try this option and try to remind myself what this does. Wait, I haven't read this yet? What is this? Okay, well, let's see what this is. Even so, if I don't go buy it, I won't be a man. The next class is classical literature or Chinese literature. One or the other. However, I must go no matter what. Sheen, don't compare me to you.
いや、別に止めないけどな。
No, I can't really compare. I turned on my heel and made a mad dash for the door. Oh, okay. The problem is we have a cone beanie turned into cone pea beanie. But cone beanie means convenience store, if you don't know. It's a very basic Japanese word. So I made a mad dash for the convenience store. All right, let's head for the lunch corner. Okay, so I have two choices I can make here. Sandwich. Onigiri, which is rice balls. Could do rice balls. It's all buns at the school store, so I guess I'll have rice balls every once in a while. It doesn't want to capture this. Oh, okay. Taking into account the fact that I'll be eating it during class, I choose the fixed rice balls. So that will be, okay, Sanbyaku Kyuju in ni arimasu. But it's like expensive, so it's like, oh. Ni na imas. Ni not arimas. Ni na ima. Ni na imas. But like the ma is like extended for some reason, even though it's hiragana. So ni narimas. I gave her a gohyaku in coin, grabbed my change, and ran back to the classroom, which would have been hyaku ichi in, right?
おい、先生来るぞっていうか、お前よく間に合ったな。
Hey, the teacher's coming. Actually, I'm surprised you answered my question. Who do you think I am? You know, like, who do you think I am? I ate the rice ball in one go and washed it down with the tea I bought. Oh, I guess you bought tea. I mean, it is tea. It's the right kanji for tea. Green tea, that is. Why won't it capture this? Okay, futsu, person. Come on, go. The first kanji is person. The second one is in newspaper, but I forget what it means. Phew. Humans can do it. I wonder what Google Translate has to say about that. I think that's correct, but just in case. Oh, Japanese. Humans can do anything if they try. That's better. It was a time when I couldn't help but feel that way. Okay. So I see that probably doesn't really have anything to do with any of the characters. So now I know that that's not really worth continuing on from. But that's something I didn't read before. That as a bonus, we get to do a side tangent and read. Whoops. So I'm going to load. I'm actually going to reload the same thing. And then pick the other choice for completeness. Thinking about what we could do what I would like to do during the next class, I chose the sandwich. It's because onigiri makes the sound of seaweed and it's easy to find out. Okay. This is Yonhyaku Rokuju Sun in Ninarimas. And then you give her a 500 yen. It says cheaper. And then eats the sandwich, right? I stuffed a sandwich in one go and washed it down with the juice I bought with it. I guess this is all like Western themed. Humans can, since I didn't read it, but this is the same thing, can do anything they try. It was a time when I couldn't help but feel that way. Okay. Now I'm going to load the save. But before I do that, I'm going to quit. Because I got to look at the scenes list. Do I have scene number 23 now? No, I don't. So, it doesn't matter. I'm also missing 58 and 71, right? So that was not any of the scenes I was missing. That wasn't anything. Okay. No. Getting out of here. Yes. Luckily, this isn't one of those things where it's like getting over it or something, where if you put new game instead of continue, it like wipes out your previous stuff. Okay. Now I'm going to make the correct choice, which is this. And again, pro Kauru choices through here. We're going to do everything pro everybody. Pro UA choices. Well, this one apparently doesn't matter, so I'm going to pick whatever. Pro choices. This one apparently doesn't matter, so I'll just do whatever. This one apparently doesn't matter. Okay, so it seems pretty obvious what you do here. You gotta go do everybody, right? So we gotta go meet Shion. So let's go meet Shion. Good Shion choices. Okay, I forgot what this is. Outside. Let's ask someone for lunch. Where should I go to get lunch? Okay, so let's overwrite number 3 because number 3 was that thing where it's like obviously what the right choice was. I just had an unread thing here. So I'm going to pick go outside at first. Okay, so this is that scene. Now I'm going to load. Ask somebody for lunch. What does this do? The same thing. Okay, so I'm going to back up. I'm going to do go outside. But this one doesn't really matter that much. Just to avoid the whole Sheen conversation. Just to be more direct, because that might give me more things to happen because there's more time. But it's still not really important. So I'm going to still overwrite save 3 again, because that's still not a crossroads. So these are types of bread, right? So we don't really care what kind of bread. We'll just pick something. So now things get really tricky. So nurse's office. If we go to the nurse's office, I believe we interact with Shion. If we go to the roof, we don't interact with Kauru, but I get a pro Kauru point, which may unlock Kauru scenes later. It might be important. And go back to the classroom. That doesn't do anything. Maybe UA or something. It doesn't really do anything. So this is another one we have to save at. And I will put it in 3. So big hinge point here, number 3. So I have to choose roof, which is associated with Kauru, but I don't think you actually meet her. Nurse, which is associated with Shion, but you meet her very briefly. Or back to the classroom, where you have this, I think, a long conversation with Sheen, about Kauru and UA, which might be pro UA, not sure. Now, I'm going to choose roof. For my first go through, but I put a save there because I'm not sure that's really the best choice here. So, roof. Oh, this hasn't, we haven't read this yet? What is this? This is interesting. The sweetness of the banana. Oh, because I picked a different bread to go on the roof with. Okay. Technicalities. The sweetness of the banana and the bitterness of the natto, the sticky, stringy texture spread through my mouth. This is bad. I can't even begin to describe it. Banana natto bread. Why is there something like this in a simple high school store? Oh, you haven't heard of stuff that I had at school lunch, okay? No, it wasn't really that all that complex. The most complex thing was probably that, like, burrito filled with beans and sweet potato, which isn't as nearly as weird as natto, which is fermented beans and banana. That just seems like, because, like, you mush the banana up. Ugh. Anyway, if you're wondering what the experience of eating sweet potato and beans wrapped in tortilla is, it's kind of okay at first, but for some reason, halfway through the burrito, I just was like, my mind was so tired of it, I started like gagging on it. So it starts off okay, but it like gets bad fast. Oh, there's something that gets really old about it. I'm limiting myself to high school lunch stuff, right? Like in elementary school, it was absolutely disgusting. But it was ordinary, like commonplace things. It wasn't weird concoctions. Just they somehow managed to figure out a way to make those commonplace things disgusting. Now, I did try to like eat a peanut butter banana sandwich once because some people really like those. I wanted to see what all the hub is about. Even if you take a fresh banana, you cut it up and you put it on the sandwich and eat it right away. Still, somehow because it's in a sandwich, the banana mushes up anyway. You get this like mushy banana, and it's just not really nice. I didn't like it. I didn't really figure out what all the hype was about. So banana in a sandwich doesn't really work well. And I presume how these buns work because it's like kind of the bread is like wrapped around the filling. A filling of banana in bread, that wouldn't really work very well. That wouldn't taste too good, especially if it's natto with my banana. I don't think natto would be too bad, but like, what in the world? Yes, that would be bad. Basically, I spent all this time just to say, yeah, I agree, that would not be very good, wouldn't it, Tomoya? Tears welled up in my eyes as I shoved the rest of the bread in. So we didn't interact with any characters there, but that's like a good Kauru point. We're going to continue. I could have interacted with Shion, which may have made that a better choice. That's why it's unclear. Why are you only talking to me? Why isn't anybody else here? Well, this doesn't really matter. So sometimes Kauru is the one who talks to you to put you on cleaning duty. I don't know what really triggers that. Barged into Yue's house. Let's go back to sleep. So here I want to actually go back to sleep because I want to do a meet Minamo, and this seems like a very clear thing to want to do if I want to get into Minamo's route. But you gotta do Minamo's part of everybody, right? And I want to do all the positive Minamo stuff I can. Okay, which one do I like? Now this one's going to be tough. But I think I'm going to save, but I think I know which one to do. So who do I like? And then I'm going to choose Shion. Why? Well, part of it is I'm trying to balance out that whole going to the roof thing as opposed to the Nerfus office. Okay. But also, it appears if I'm trying to do everybody right, I want all the big major introductory scenes for everybody, right? I want the big scenes for everybody. Those would be the most important, right? And I don't get the introduction to Shion, like the story of her transferring in, if I don't choose Shion here, right? So that's why I think Shion is the right. Sorry about that. For what I'm trying to do right here, Shion would be the best choice. Futami-san, right? So the second choice is Yue. Wow, I'm really dragging around the game here. Yeah, so let's do Shion. And then you get... What? Yeah, I get the scene. I get that spread, right? Okay. Maybe I'll try eating it. Maybe I'll try eating outside is what this is, right? Okay, it's the top one. And then the bottom one is go to the school store. Now, I believe we're going to do a save here in 5. That eating outside does nothing for me, but I'm going to try it just now, just in case. Yeah, this is where you hang out with Shion at the cafeteria. Right. So, we don't need to take note of what's in 5, or go back and we're going to overwrite 5 in a minute because this doesn't contain anything useful. It's pretty clear here that if I want to go after everybody, that I should go to the school store. And there I'm going to meet Minamo again, I believe. Oh, I'm going to make sure. I don't believe this matters. I believe you end up hung up by the teacher anyway, and so it doesn't matter if what you answer. Huh. Now, where do I eat it? So I have a choice here. Okay. Eat on the roof. Eat in the classroom. Okay. So I'm going to put this save in slot 5. Where to eat it? So let's see. I forgot what happens when we do classroom. Let me try classroom first and see what... Oh, I haven't read this apparently. Okay. Interesting. We're going to read this unread stuff. I ate on the roof yesterday, so let's eat in the classroom today. I wander up the stairs. When I returned to the classroom, I found that Sheen was still eating his lunch. I borrowed the seat in front of me and pulled the bread out of my bag.
なんだ、帰ってきたのか?
What? You're back. Yeah, the weather was nice yesterday, so I ate on the roof.
は? 今日もいい天気じゃないか.
Isn't the weather nice today? He glanced over at the abomination as he spoke. Probably means food. However, the number of hands that can be eaten is incomparable. Cannot be stopped, right? But the way I eat can't be stopped, or something like that. I could put... I'll do it. Whatever. So English, stop, grab the kanji, Control C, paste it in, but the eating hasn't stopped. There you go. But there I go. Man. I don't know what this does. I haven't done this scene. Or a sub-part of a scene. Because you're here. It's a matter of mood. Oh, well, I've done this before. So it's basically the same thing, like, okay. Just a matter of mood. I wanted to eat on the roof yesterday, so I ate it. But I want to eat here today, so I just eat here. I didn't loosen my grip on the same food. I moved my mouth in the same silence.
そんなもんかね。
Is that how it works? Isn't that what it feels like to be human? I had absolutely no intention of talking philosophically, so I forced the conversation to end. Even if it was Sheen, he seemed to agree with the idea and didn't say anything more. We chatted idly and enjoyed our evening off. That is very interesting, and it gives me an idea. Not to get into the everybody thing, but it gives me an idea about how maybe I could unlock something I haven't read before. So, let me implement that. Won't make any new saves, I just want to do this to... So I'm going to say, I'm going to do eat in the classroom, but then I'm going to do it twice in a row. Oh, that's probably the roof. Classroom. So I'm going to go back to the classroom. Oh, I haven't read this for some reason? What in the world? Okay. Well, I skipped some lines by accident, but I don't really care. Okay, apparently I haven't read this. Let's get my back on. I guess I'll go back to the classroom and eat. Decided to head back to the classroom. Okay. You're right. Is that so? Okay. Okay, so that's this conversation. Okay. Okay, we'll do this part. Go by. Math teacher gets in the way. Go back to the classroom. Okay. This is... I'll pass. Go out. Okay, interesting. No, it doesn't unlock something I haven't read before. So, I'm going to just load save file number 5. Then do it on the roof. Let's go to the roof again today. It's a nice day, and I'm even luckier if there aren't as many people here as yesterday. So I head straight for the roof. Okay, I have read this apparently. So this is a scene with Kauru on the roof. Roof over classroom. Now, it seems to be pretty obvious. You do the pro Minamo thing, whatever it is. We meet her in the courtyard. This doesn't seem to matter. This matters, so we do the... Oh, it's the pro UA stuff. Okay. Buy bread. So what do we do here? Get ready for next class. Going to buy bread. Now, getting ready for next class is a... Let me save here. And 6. So 6 is buy bread or get ready for next class. Now, I'm curious about why this was a pro Shion thing, so I'm going to click it and see what happens. Okay, let me backtrack. I made a mistake there. So then we have to choose here. Go to schoolyard. You go to unused classroom. Go to the nurse's office, and you go to the schoolyard. Shion, right? Yeah, okay. The reason, so I'm gonna, the reason, but, the reason why you don't do that, even though you're trying to get all of these scenes, is because if you buy bread, you might actually interact with Minamo. Which means that's actually probably the better choice. Yeah, you interact with Minamo. So I'm going to say I chose buy bread for Minamo. Because that's the route I'm trying to get into. Okay, we always want to do positives, so positive Kauru. This one doesn't matter. This one doesn't matter. Okay, so... Whoops. Go to the nurse's office. Or don't. And here we want to go to the nurse's office. Because that's a Minamo scene, right? Now we actually want to do the skeleton thing. We want to do this pro UA stuff here. So, yes, UA. This doesn't matter. Okay, Pro UA all the way through. Now, what is this? Go for a walk. Take classes. So sleep or take classes. I'm going to take classes. So, what's the matter? So I'm going to choose Futami-san. Oh, okay. Now here we have a choice. Roof. Okay. Where to eat again? So we have roof or classroom. Now, okay, I'm going to try, I remember before I forgot about this, so I'm going to try classroom first to remind myself what happens. The classroom's a dud. So let's load. Wait, did I put that in 6? Hold on. What's 6? Okay, something went wrong here. What did I not save? What did I do? Okay. Something. There's nothing in 7. I didn't do 7. Okay. Okay. Nah, I won't save. So we've got, yeah, go to the roof. Which means we miss out on eating lunch with Shion, which might cause me problems. But anyway, let's do it. We got good Kauru and Yue. And Koyomi. And we just have Shion, we have just a Shion drought problem right now. We don't have enough good Shion stuff. Which may cause me problems later, I don't know. Okay, we have sleep, play. I'll try sleep. Okay, where should we eat? It's warm, so it's on the roof. Okay, let's try to do a balance. So, where to eat again? Right, roof or schoolyard? What I'm going to do here is I'm going to save, and hopefully save successfully, into slot 7. Yes. And I'm going to pick the schoolyard to try to balance it out, right? Because I've done the Kauru scenes on the roof. I now want to do scenes on the schoolyard to try to balance out those scenes on the roof. You know what I mean? So... So you get a scene with, like, each of the characters. Yeah, so right now we pretty much have UA not quite maxed because in order to meet Shion or meet Minamo early as possible, you have to miss going to her house potentially. So we don't have UA maxed out utterly, and I think I made a negative UA choice at the very beginning, where I put my save number 1. We got pretty good on UA, I think. And then Koyomi, I think we have maxed out so far. Minamo we have maxed out so far. Kauru, I didn't go up to on the roof the third time, right? The third time I went to eat lunch in the schoolyard. And with Shion, I only went to the schoolyard the second time. I went to the roof first, so I didn't get, like, the spider scene. I mean, you saw it happen in this recording, but I didn't actually work off that branch in my saves. So, it's not actually in my, like, run, if you know what I mean. It's like I kind of split the difference between Shion and Kauru there. A lot of splitting the difference I'm doing. So why am I out here talking to Sheen? Oh, because we're doing the Minamo stuff. Okay, Minamo's still maxed. I don't think I've done anything negative Minamo so far. Now, I would say that here you want to agree, right? That should be pretty obvious. We got Koyomi max so far, which is what we want to do. So Koyomi's still maxed and Minamo's still maxed. Where Shion and Kauru and UA had to kind of split the difference, right? Yeah, agreed to help again. They got Kauru on the roof. So this is where it gets super tricky. So I'm going to save. So 8 is study with Kauru. Now, here's the problem. I'm going to choose yes. With this choice, it might railroad me right into Kauru's route if I choose yes. I might have to explicitly tell her no. That's why I might miss here. I think the right thing to do is say yes. It doesn't really mess up Koyomi that much because you basically, the plans get canceled and you have to go help Koyomi afterwards anyway. You know what I mean? So I think you can, yeah, I think it works. But it might be too much Kauru. It might force me to Kauru's route. So gotta be careful. Okay. Okay, we want to. So here's another place to save. Okay, the answer is 9. But my promise with Koyomi, it might be less of a problem with Kauru if I reject her here. Because you say I'm doing it because I made a promise, as opposed to previously where it's just like, nah, I won't, right? Should I like respect your like promises? But I think we can safely do this because we don't disappoint Koyomi entirely because, you know what I mean. We do a little bit because we show up late because we're waiting for Kauru. This doesn't matter. I just picked this randomly. It doesn't matter. Futami-san? She's like, Yue's like, wa? Yue Daro? Then we're going to do the same with Yue. The trash can. This is very similar to my first run through, except we do have a little bit more Minamo, and we did actually get a scene with Shion in the schoolyard. But it's still very similar. Okay, what is this? Not good, but not bad. Oh, this is how well you did on the exam. Let's say perfect. Okay. What else is this? And then we get a scene with Shion, which is good because it gives it to us. Then we do the right answer. Good. Okay, what do we do here? I'll pass. Study. So 10 is study with Kauru again. Again. Right? Which I'm going to put a save here. In number 10. Now, I believe I could reject Kauru at this point as well, right? But I don't see a reason why not to. If I don't stay with Kauru again, I might go after... This is interesting. I'm not going to commit to a choice yet, but I'm going to do the rejection. And see what I can do with that. Interesting. I do a rejection. It's because we already got a lot of Kauru so far, right? So, okay. And then we're going to go to the library. Just do this, like, scene, this Shion scene. Just to balance things out, right? A good balance between Kauru and Shion. Uh-oh. Okay. So this is obviously the UA route, right? We've gotten pushed. I'm just wondering if this actually results in a high or a low. That's what I'm waiting it out. But it's probably a low, if I were to guess. Okay, that's where they split, right there, but I still haven't seen, I don't know what the differences are until I get to a CG. Okay, which one am I in? Low. This is UA low. Okay. Yep. Okay. So let's try variations. So let's try this. So let's see if this railroads me. Okay. The book incident. Okay. So this one here, if you get to this point, we know we are squarely in the Kauru route at this point, right? This is the infamous choice where that's the correct answer, where it shows disapproval in the hint. But first wrong hint I encountered in this game that I knew of. So, say accepting triggers Kauru. So you have to reject her the second time. You have no other option, right? But the thing is, I can't reject Yue. The game doesn't let you. She's the default. So, the only thing I know how to do here, the only thing I know how to do is go up to 9 and do something different here, because I don't really have any other choice, right? So up to 9, and I'm going to then reject Kauru at this point, which is weird, but I'm sorry, I have a prior engagement.
そんな転校して何もわからない人を放っておくの？
No way. Are you going to leave someone you don't understand alone after transferring? I can't do math on the same level as someone who... come on, Google Translate. I'm just as bad as math as people who don't understand anything. It looks like, it's interesting. I haven't read this before. It's interesting. Before the test, the teacher in charge of the presentation will teach you the points you need to pass the test. I don't think you need to worry so much about that.
そう言ってくれると嬉しいんだけどね。
Yeah, I'm happy to hear you say that. Don't worry, if you fail, I'll take supplementary lessons with you.
それじゃあ、そうしてもらおうかな。
And why don't you do that? I think we'll all be together anyway.
じゃあ、その時はよろしくね。
Well, then I'll be counting on you when the time comes. Once I fail. That's Solent. The atmosphere is much calmer than before, as if my jokes got through to her. Still, if I don't study seriously too, it'll be just like I told Otoa-san. Still, it didn't go through. I think I'll study a little more seriously this time. With that thought in mind, Otoa and I left the roof together. Okay, this is interesting. Okay, do a spacer 11. So for 11 we have not to study at 9. Okay, branch. So then we have ask for notes. Otoa or Shion. I'm gonna pick, I chose Shion at the moment. But I have to actually save that pick. Or save the choice where I made the pick. Oops. Okay, now what's this choice? What should I do? Study in the library or study in the classroom. Okay. So 12 is study in classroom or library. I'm going to actually save it. I didn't last time. I think I just chose library, right? And didn't bother saving. So I'm going to study in the library. Oh. Why? That's interesting. Okay. Oddly, chose classroom. UA, do the garbage can thing. Whoops, I picked the wrong thing. Oh, phooey. So, where for dictionary? And I'm going to choose library. Oh, this looks like UA's route. Yep. Yep, this is UA. Make sure we get to the photograph, just in case, but this is... I mean, Minamo, you have a different choice. Like, you can, instead of... That scene where you're like, all night, yep. All night in the schoolyard. That guarantees you're in UA at that point. Okay. Let's do a experiment with the very last choice for it, right? Okay, what does this do to me? So otherwise, you get a Koyomi scene. But it is not enough. And you wind up UA. Okay. Okay. So Krillus is in the same state I left it, right? It's still 58's missing, still 23's missing, right? Yep. I got a little bit of new dialogue in there, but no new scenes really. So, here are my options going forward. Option 1, just try beating my head against the wall. That is, in my next recording, just try some more of things and see if I can get back into Minamo's route. Try to see if I sort of like do like this iterative process to try to figure out how Minamo's route triggers and how to get back into it. Right now, this is very oddly, even though I did something very similar to my very first playthrough, which maybe it was easy to parlay into Minamo, I still couldn't get into Minamo's route like I could in the first playthrough, which is odd. The second option is look up a flowchart, or try to look up a flowchart for memories off. And if I fail, I'm back to the first option. Option 3, just read the Wikipedia page for memories off and see if that gives me any ideas. Seems lame, but that's something you could do, right? I mean, I won't get too spoiled at this point, right? Maybe. It depends on what routes I've been. Reading a Wikipedia page is always kind of dangerous, regardless of what stage along you are in the gameplay. Then I have another option. I've lost count of the options at this point. I can't. Well, this would be like option number 4, I guess. Play Pure or the After Story or both, and then come back to the main game. What that could potentially do, because if Pure's a prequel, right, like, I think I've got enough information where a prequel wouldn't spoil me. It might, but that's something I could try. If I do that, then that might tell me for certain what CGs come from Pure, and what scenes come from Pure, and what endings come from Pure, as well as from the After Story as well, which would help with, which would be helpful in like narrowing things down. But I'm going to do that in the next recording because I'm going to end on this recording. In this recording, no progress was made, but I had to try my idea, and maybe my idea was right. I just didn't implement it effectively. But I thought I did pretty good. So, great. I don't know.